Hello. Today we're going to talk about how to use a proportion to solve some word problems here. You could also use a unit rate, but I'm just going to show you guys how to set up a proportion because in today's classwork you're going to have some problems that look like this, and then in tomorrow's classwork you're going to have some problems that are in a table, so that you can use a proportion to solve. Now, just like a unit rate, and this is how they're kind of related, the labels are highly important. So when we set this up, I'm going to really stress that labels are important here. So Bobby bought 18 watermelons for $32.75. How many watermelons can he buy if he has $22? Well, you could solve this with a unit rate and so on and so on. However, the easiest way to do this is with a proportion. So a proportion is when you just set up two fractions that are equal to each other. Now, I'm going to put 18W on the top because that stands for 18 watermelons. Now, I'm also going to put 32.75 on the bottom. At this point, it says how many watermelons can he buy if he has $22? Well, since the dollars are on the bottom on the left fraction or the left ratio, I'm going to put $22 on the bottom on this right fraction, and now I'm going to put an X up there. So at this point, we're going to cross multiply. So 32.75 times X is 32.75X. So I'm cross multiplying. I'm going to draw this in purple. And when you do this, you always go from the bottom to the top. 22 times 18. Well, I don't have my calculator with me right now, so I'm just going to write this off to the side. 22 times 18. And 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16 again, plus 1 is 17. Fill in with the 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. So now I get 396. And I'm going to erase all that. I just want to make sure I did this correctly. I'm going to double check my work. 8 times 2 is 16 plus, carry the 1. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 1 is 17. 0, 2, 2, 6, 9, 3. We're good. So at this point, I'm going to write 396 here. And now this is a one-step equation, which we've already talked about this year. So what you're going to do is, in order to solve this one-step equation, because it's 32.75 times X, they're next to each other, so it's multiplication, we divide by 32.75 on both sides. Which means that that X disappears. And now I'm going to get, and I apologize here, I need to pull up my calculator because to do that, I can't do that in my head. So 32.75 divided by 22. And I'm looking for my calculator. There it is. 32.75 divided by 22. No. 396. 32.75 divided by 396. No, that's wrong too. 396 divided by 32.75. Now we got it. We got 12.09. Sorry. When I don't have it in front of me, it's tough for me to remember those numbers. So it was 12.09. Now, I can't buy a portion of a watermelon. So 12.09 doesn't make sense. So I can't buy a part of a watermelon more than 12. So all I can do is buy 12 watermelons. So I now have my answer. And I'm going to erase that work because I might need that space here in a second. So, important thing here is that the labels line up. So on the top, I'm going to just highlight this. I got watermelons, and the X is watermelons. So they line up across the top. If I put the 18 on the bottom on the left, I would have to put the X on the bottom on the right. And I would still end up with the same answers. So just to review this, dollar signs are on the bottom, dollar signs are on the bottom on this one. So in each ratio, the dollar signs are on the bottom. If I decided to put them on the top, then they both go on the top, and that would be okay, and I would still end up with 12 watermelons as my answer. Okay, next one says, the currency in Argentina is the peso. The exchange rate is approximately $5 equals 2 pesos. At this rate, how many pesos would you get if you exchanged $335.50? Again, you could use a unit rate here, but I'm going to show you how to use a proportion because I think proportions are really pretty straightforward since we've already done one-step equations in the past. Now, if you're kind of wondering what this all means in this problem, currency is just money. So when you go to a different country, you can't pay with American dollars. You have to have money that's in that country's currency. In other words, the peso. If you go to Europe, you have to have euros. If you go to England, you have to have pounds. So it's just a different way of money. I can tell you that my wife and I both went to St. Lucia in the Caribbean, and they have what they call EC currency, which is something Caribbean currency. I don't know what it is, but we took American money there, and it was very, very confusing. So the best thing to do is just get money when you go down there and exchange it. So then you can exchange it when you come back. And there's an exchange rate. So in this case, we're going to do the exchange rate is $5, and that dollar sign's on the top. I could put that on the bottom. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to write 2p for 2 pesos. And then the other number we have is dollars, so $335.50. And we do not know the number of pesos. So now at this point, we are going to cross multiply in that fashion. So now I'd have x times 5 is 5x equals 335.50 times 2. So again, I need my calculator. 335.50 times 2 is $671. So, or not dollars, just 671. And at this point, I'm going to divide by 5 because it's a one-step equation, it's multiplication. So now I'd have x equals, and now I got to go back to my calculator, divide by 5, and I get 134.2 pesos. And that would be my answer. Now, you could set these up in a table. So, for instance, let's say I was doing this top one, and I would have watermelons here, and I would have dollar signs here. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to fill in my 18. I'm going to fill in my 32.75, and I'm going to put the $22 down here. And kind of already you can see that I don't know how many watermelons go in there. So already you can just kind of see how you're setting up your proportion. And it's kind of already set up for you. So the 18 over the 32.75, the 22 is on the bottom because it's dollars. And I don't know what that value is on the top. And I could do that for as many values as I wanted the whole way out through here, as long as I know one ratio, and I have one number that goes in one of the other ratio, I can figure out the missing number every single time. The same thing down here. So we got dollar signs and we got pesos. So it was $5 for 2 pesos, and then we had $335.50. I don't know the number of pesos, so again, 5 over 2, and if you look, it's kind of set up for you already. You can do that with any values in a table. So Today, you're primarily going to be focused on problems that look like the ones that are here in bold on the right-hand side, and I did for examples, and you'll be doing them like this. You'll be setting them up like that and getting your answer. Please set up the proportion. I know that some of them are going to be pretty simple, but it's not about getting the answer. It's about solving it with a proportion. So that when we do get to a little bit more complicated things, which we are coming up on, and those proportions aren't as easy as what you're seeing in these word problems that I'm giving you today, that you can set up the proportion. So I'm not worried about the answers. I'm worried about how you set up the proportions with the labels. And then, of course, I'd like you to get the right answer, but I'm really focused on setting up the proportions correctly.